Good old Bob Seger. I don't own this music, and I have to say that. It's Bob Seger, old time rock and roll, coming to you from Native Studio Art. And it's the best way to create art, I think, is put on a little bit of music and just throw that throw that paintbrush around. All right, we will get down to grade 10. I was going to say day 10. We are in day 10, and I called it Weaving Our Reflections. And as I move through my reading from day to day and come to you with some inspiration, I'm also learning a ton, not just about being here, but also some of the things that I really like to do outside of painting. And we talked about focus, and my main focus is acrylic painting as an artist. And I love landscapes and blue and nighttime scenes. I like the full moon, I like water, and most of you that know me know that. But I also like to learn as I move forward as a professional artist and incorporate some of those things within my work. So today I wanted to share with you about 10 or 15 minutes, talk to you a little bit about how important it is as artistic and creative people to take a break and reflect. And when I think about reflection, a lot of times I will think to myself, I haven't made any huge improvements. And then when it comes to the arts and looking at where I was 10, 15 years ago, I realize that a lot of the techniques and whatnot are coming easy to me. So reflection is about evaluating ourselves and giving ourselves that vision of what we started out with. For example, I think that I can say 15 years ago, my turning point was when I was sitting in an office and I was working in a college atmosphere. And I was thinking about an exhibition, and what pops up on my desktop computer was an opportunity to be in an exhibit, a global exhibit, digitally. And the first thing I caught myself saying, and you may have heard this story before, is, no, I'm not that good. I'll wait till another time. And I caught myself and I became aware. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Because when I started out, years before that, I was sitting by a creek thinking the same thing. And I thought, when will it be time for me? When will it be? What will that look like? And I couldn't come up with an answer. The only answer I could come up with is, how about now? I joined. I filled out that application and I chose my best images and I submitted them. And with 10,000 people, I was one of 10,000 people selected to exhibit my art digitally in Times Square in 2011 and 2012. 9x12 digital screen in Times Square. I have yet to be in New York, but then I thought to myself, if I think at that time, 15 years ago to now, I have applied for exhibitions and I've speaking. I just caught myself thinking not too long ago, I want to say 6 months ago, a speaking engagement came up. As an artist educator, the first thing that I thought was the same thing of my comfort zone. Oh, I can't do that. there's no way I'll be picked. 1 out of 200 women applied, including myself, and accepted. All around the art and everything that I love to do in the history. When I reflect, I can give myself, and it's not bragging, we need to actually value where we come from. My ancestors worked hard for me to come here in my life. That challenge that day, I remember that because I was scared. I thought, what are people gonna think? And I thought, what people? And this is the question that I ask myself time and time again. What if somebody hears me? Today, I am going to be on CBC's book list on YouTube doing a live reading chapter 1 of Walking in Your Power, Lessons from the Grandmothers that I published in 2017. I felt like I broke every rule in the book. That book. In family. In friends. I thought that I would be rejected. I have a message though, it's bigger. The book was meant to share from the eyes of an elderly person, and I'm painting her. And you will see images. I've got a new image coming up. And I'm so excited, but I'm also scared because I have not had that experience before. Reflection, which is chapter 4 of the 15 Laws of Growth by John C. Maxwell. And I think, as you've heard me talk as an artist, this is so important to our mental and spiritual growth. Because when we grow, our feelings, emotions grow, and our responses change. I just wanted to read a quote to you. I'll ask you 3 questions, and I'm going to show you the art form. Oh, hi, Annie! Thank you for logging in. So here's the quote. Every significant religious leader in history spent time in solitude. And every political leader who had an impact on history practiced the discipline of solitude to think and plan. Great artists spend countless hours in their studios or with their instruments, not just doing, but explaining their ideas and experiences. Those ideas and experiences for each one of those fields are about practicing and doing, and you have so much to give to the world. And we question. I question. It's a gift. And I spent 2 hours bringing to you just the art form that I want to share with you in a few minutes. I know, I was kind of excited about it. I've got some leftover pieces, and I want to draw up another pattern and try it. But back to, I want you, here's my call to action. I'm going to ask these questions. I'm going to share just a tidbit about, just a bit about my reaction to, or my response to the comments. What is your biggest asset as a creative being? Mine is peace. I create and embody it in my studio, and I also do this online. You'll see me, I'm very expressive. You can't miss the smiles, the disappointment. You can see that somehow I managed to lift myself from that and think about what I'm gaining and learning from that experience. So what is your asset? Mine is peace. I'm sure you could make a list. This is time for reflection. And number 2, your biggest liability in your character or your person. Lots of us don't want to look at it. I know I did it. But when we went to Colombia, there's a sense of fear and insecurity at times being in a new place because I'm out of my comfort zone. That liability is fear. And I tend to make mental judgments. In order to protect myself, I jump to conclusions and I create a story in my head. And then I believe it because somehow it gives me comfort. And I can't understand how it makes me, how I could feel comfort when I'm scaring myself. And those stories, that story I was creating, I caught myself several times, did not fit. Did not fit. I was thinking about when our shoes disappeared at the tent and our clothes were taken from our panniers on the bike in Taganga, Colombia. And then I went on to create this story around the person who stole the items. And that was starting to trigger some terror. And George and I caught ourselves, well, we were talking, and this is great. This is what masterminds or having good friends are about, is talking about it. And I realized, oh, Barbara, you just create a big story, and it's to somehow try and get back into that comfort zone in that box. Does that make sense? So think about your biggest liability. When we're aware of it, then there's no embarrassment or shame. Because when it shows up for me, I start to catch myself. 3, your highest of highs. When was the last time you experienced a high that just made you float? Besides love, I could go there. My highest high was just recently. Think about your recent one and compare it to the past. Okay, so I talked about turning point and the feelings that I had when my images were accepted. And when I was so excited, and then when the day came for it to be exhibited, I was waiting for the images of Times Square, and it didn't come for about 4 weeks, because you got to remember 10,000 people, artists, creatives did this. So I did get an image, but I second guessed it. And when I got the images, I went, oh, I was at Times Square. Was it about that? It was a feeling, because my ancestors, they created this for me. My mom and dad created this pathway. And I have to give them recognition, to the friends and family that have inspired me and helped me be courageous. Help me believe in myself, that limiting self-belief that I'm not good enough, to being accepted as one of the 200 women who will speak at Her Story conference once we are away from what's going on today. I'm going to read, I won't say the name, I'm just going to read a comment. Yeah, it makes sense. Anticipatory grief, being anxious for so many things that may never happen. They may never happen. You are so right. And they happen when we make it happen. Sometimes. Then again, if it's passed us by, we can recreate. Yeah, I know, recreate ourselves. I've heard that, so it doesn't mean a new skin or a body. Recreating ourselves is like I was thinking, I'm not good enough is about changing. I value myself. I love myself. It's taken me years. And to be courageous, I love everybody around me, but I wouldn't give that to myself. And during the grief or loss of something, someone, or objects, build some compassion so that we can love bigger. Thinking about recreating that thought, I value my artistic and intuitive abilities. So your highest of highs, and mine is being one of the 200 women for the Her Story conference, like I was saying. Make a list and challenge the limiting self-beliefs. And while you're doing it, I will have this. And now we're going to switch over to the art form. It took me an hour and a half, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to move this. I have problems with the cow. Okay, there. Okay, you'll get a picture of what I've created and instructions. It's a pattern, it's called weaving. And it's funny how I was thinking about my ancestors because a picture of my grandfather popped up on Facebook today when I was, I think I was 7. He took us on a horseback ride, my late brother and I. And then my grandmother, Amelia, used to weave and make baskets. And just that triggered this creative mode for me to participate in and share it with you. And while you're making these items, your creativity, everybody I said is creative. No, would love to see you try. This is construction paper. You'll need scissors, a ruler, and when you look at it, if you follow the pattern, it'll turn out just brilliant. And one more time I'll show you. What I would do is buy some big pieces of construction paper. Remember I said I had a lot? I still have tons of this. Cut them out. Plan a weaving party online. If you have one and you'd like me to come, I'll come. Well, distancing. We could be socially participate in weaving our patterns and talking and whatnot. But I would do this together, and there are different designs. I'll go hunting for some other ones and have fun with this. Choose some bright colors, and if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And I love you all, and thanks for logging in. Catch you tomorrow on day 11. Okay. Bye-bye for now.